Oh snap! We live.
We
Chris,
live.
we live.
We are
Dion, we
live.
live. Oh
Oh, we
snap! What is
live.
up, everybody? And welcome back to Pin the Gas Podcast. It's the podcast where we cater to your motorcycle racing information needs and desires. As always, I am Julius, cool Jules Fastanis, and that is Chris, the whole effing show Simcoe. And coming all the way from South Africa, man. From You, Me, and MotoGP, my man Dion. Dion, welcome to Pin the Gas. And the reason why I made You Me MotoGP the intro instead of giving you a nickname is because that is your brand. That is you guys. And usually when people have brands like track stars, I kind of like to let that name show. So, hey man, welcome to the show, bro.
Guys, thank you very much. That was the awesome intro. I'm definitely gonna use it. I think I'm just gonna take that little snippet and use it as our podcast intro. So, yeah, thanks. So, you, me, and MotoGP, our podcast. Thank you for the lovely introduction. It's nice chatting to you guys. Really looking forward to it.
Dude, it
Yeah.
is awesome having you here. We are the fortunate ones, man. Trust.
Yep. Yep. What an honor it is, Dion. Me and Dion's had several conversations, and man, yeah, it's and I tell him all the time what an honor it is to sit down and do this and have this chat and continue in the future being friends and progressing and helping each other grow and yeah, all that good stuff that comes along with it. Maybe one day we could be on You, Me, and MotoGP show.
Definitely, guys. We'll put that in the works. We're making some changes, and we'll definitely get you guys on there. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
I am looking forward to tearing up the South African market. Ain't that right, Chris?
That's right.
if we aren't doing so now. I don't know if you've seen Dion, but Chris sends me the analytics of what goes on in our Spotify, and man, we we get downloads more outside the US than in here, which is pretty counterintuitive because it's like we're trying to breach the American market. What the
I am so glad you mentioned that because we're sitting with the exact same problem. Maybe we should swap listeners because most of our listeners are sitting in the States. So
No
I don't
way.
know how this is happening. Yeah, so most of our fan base is sitting in the States if you look at our analytics. So maybe this is then a very good start, I believe, to sharing some listeners. You guys getting some guys from the States and other ways around. So yeah, it is actually interesting how that works. And I was telling Chris before the show, it's scary as new podcasters or people new in the industry, how closely you monitor that, and every new download and every new stream is just it's like a rush. It's very exciting.
It is. It's you get this. I get this surge of adrenaline, man, and it's just like it's unlike any other feeling in the world, man. It's because it's such a dream to be able to do this, to connect with all the people you've been fans with, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it really is, and it consumes me.
Yeah, Chris watches our analytics like it's the Nasdaq, bro. Like he pays attention to things like a stock. It's like it's a stock market.
I do.
But
Yeah,
Dion, man. Oh, go ahead.
no, I just wanted to say you have to. You don't have to, but Chris and I was having a quick chat before, Jules, and I think it's partly because of the ADHD a little bit. So we tend to hyper focus on a few
Yeah.
things, and then those analytics become everything. Shanae, my partner that does You, Me, and MotoGP with me, unfortunately she couldn't join us, but she gives me time. She just says, "Baby, please just put down the phone for an hour. I need you to focus on me. Leave the stats for an hour."
What a lovely voice she is. I was listening to a couple of your shows, and I was just like,
Yep.
man, what a dynamic duo.
Mhm.
And which is why I was going to come after it a little bit. Dion, what is You Me and MotoGP, and who is your partner?
Oh, so You, Me, and MotoGP is a, a couple that found themselves in a love triangle with MotoGP. Shanae, it is it is the dream actually for me as a MotoGP fan. Shanae is a new MotoGP fan. When I say new, for the last 2 years, we've been dating for about 3.5, 4 years now, and me obviously being in love with MotoGP, she started getting into it as well. And then we used to listen to a bunch of podcasts, and it's like, guys, it's we love podcasts. That's all we listen to when we get into any car. It's Spotify on podcasts, and just sat in the car one day and I said, there's so much technical information and so much technical podcasts out there, and this one's doing this and tires this and aero this, and I said, what about just having like a social show where we just chat about rider personalities and chat about things that's not technical. Played into it because Shanae is quite new in MotoGP.
Mhm.
That played right into us doing the lighter side of it, and we just enjoy. And I honestly get the same vibe from you guys. We just enjoy motorcycle racing. It's just
That's what I'm
nice sitting
saying,
down and
bro.
having a chat. And it's awesome being able to do that with my partner. So sitting down for an hour and just chatting motorcycle racing, what's better in the world?
Oh man, dude,
Nothing.
that's everything. Like
Yeah.
that literally is everything. What my one of my goals for next year is to hopefully have enough of a following, at least in America, to have a motor GP like Moto GP viewing party, right? Where we can like chop it up, get food, wings. Well, I don't know if we have wings at 9 in the morning, but like just like meeting each other and just like having a beer or whatever, and make it a pastime. Like people here in the US, they talk baseball a lot. They gather around, get their peanuts, get their snacks, and then they'll drink beer, and it's just a good old freaking time, right? For an incredibly boring sport. Sorry for all you guys who are a fan of baseball, but it's incredibly boring. MotoGP is way more exciting, and I would like to create that atmosphere for this sport.
That
Facts.
is that is fact, and it seems like I don't know if you what is, and I'm going to offend a few people here, but I'm just going to say I don't know what's wrong with the world's population. There are so many people following sports that are so boring. It's like
Dude,
if you watch the Moto3 race today, the MotoGP race, MotoGP is actually so exciting, even versus Formula One or other motorsports. It's so exciting, the on-track action. So we've got a similar problem in South Africa. A lot of people follow cricket and rugby. I'm actually personally a big rugby fan as well, which is fine. But I just always feel, I look at these people like, guys, if you just know how exciting the sport is, and I just want to, in my opinion, coming from a bigger guy, there's no right time for wings. It's any time, bud. Evening or morning,
Facts.
you could always have wings.
Facts, Dion. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, yeah, 9 a.m. Count me in, baby. I'm
do
in.
do they do that in South Africa? Like is like a wing night like a thing, or is that like a fat American thing?
It is. I don't want to call it a thing. I don't think it's as big as in America, but we do love wings. A lot of our restaurants sell wings, and
Thank
South
God.
Africans love to braai. So if we get an opportunity, we throw some wings on the braai and have a few beers or brandies and coke like we do here in South Africa. We a country that really loves socializing. So any chance we
Mhm.
get, we will have a beer and have some wings. So yeah.
Oh man, there's nothing like having a beer and wings. Which Chris, that's gonna be us in New Jersey, man. Beer and
Uh,
wings, bro.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Be great.
Dion, to touch on the other sports, the only really other sport I really watch is soccer. I like soccer. Um, the real football, right?
Chris is a European trapped in a Southern American body.
Facts. Yeah, facts.
I'm glad you said it, Jules, because it's if you gave me a million guesses, I would not have pinned you as a soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, guy.
That's what I'm
How did that
saying.
happen, if I might ask?
Do what?
How did that happen, if I might ask? How did
Uh,
you? Is it just something you picked up?
well, when I was little, man, I played a lot of soccer. That's where I fell in love with the game of soccer. And yeah, I just watch. I watch football every once in a while, but honestly, the only time I watch football is the Super Bowl. That's
Oh
it.
yeah,
I'm like,
Super Bowl is
I'm
amazing.
like, who's in the Super Bowl? Okay, I guess I'll go for them, right? I mean, it's
Super Bowl is amazing.
whatever. I don't watch baseball; it's boring. Just like you guys said, golf is kind of cool, man. But again, I don't want to watch it. I'd rather play it on my PlayStation, right? Tiger Woods, baby, golf, yeah,
Oh
right.
man, I love playing golf.
Right. It's yeah. Other than that, man, it's dude. My life revolves around motorcycle racing, BSB, Australian Superbike, man. All of them, TT, the Macau, Southern 100, Moto America, yada yada yada.
Northern
If it
Talent
ain't,
Cup, yeah, all that.
yeah,
good stuff.
Northern Cal. If it's not two wheels, man. But like I said, I hyper focus, and that's my love, my passion, and that's what I hyper focus on. Anything else is hard.
Okay, yeah, and can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Start with the controversial ones here.
yeah.
F1, not a fan?
Am I F1 motor fan? Yeah,
Oh, you yes.
I do. It's man, again, it's hard to watch, Dion, right? It's boring. There's hardly any passes. You got that stupid DRS button, pass button, and
Red Bull sweeping the season. Like,
yeah, my favorite F1 driver right now is Daniel Ricciardo. I've always liked Daniel Ricciardo since he come into F1. I like his style, and I like Lando Norris too.
Lando's dope.
Of course, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, he's the GOAT of F1 in our day and age, right? Maybe possibly the greatest of ever. So we'll see. But yes, F1 it's good. Actually, watching Drive to Survive is better than watching a real Formula One race, if I may be honest, right?
That is a fact.
I think the being able to, the ability to hold a conversation about F1 is a lot more entertaining than actually watching it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
if you watch Drive to Survive and you watch highlights or the majority of the race, it and able to like hold a conversation, buy the merchandise, and just like look like you eat, sleep, and breathe the sport. I feel like that's the more entertaining side than actually sitting down on a Sunday and watching a full race. Like, I cannot for the life of me just sit there and watch 72 laps. I can't.
I agree with you. I think it's the flip of the coin. I think that's where MotoGP is getting it wrong. MotoGP's on track action is a million times better. The racing is a million times better. The commercial side of it is not as big as F1. Like you say, if you, the general person in the street after Drive to Survive, can speak about F1 because they've created such a narrative around that sport. It made it interesting. They created personal, didn't create, they showed the personalities of the drivers. It created something special to watch. But if you actually sit down and watch the F1 race, it's pretty boring in my opinion.
Yeah.
It is. It is. It has its moments, but
this is how I structure Formula One. Hey, shut up. So this my little husky in back is I'll watch the first 10 laps, right? And then I see who's in front. I leave and I eat breakfast or whatever, what have you. Come back when it's midway, watch it like 3 to 5 laps midway, leave, watch something else, and then come back the last 5 laps. And it doesn't change. It's Red Bull, Max Verstappen in front.
He has something to say about F1 too, don't he?
Yeah,
I'm
she's not a
assuming
fan
he's
of
a
Red
Lewis
Bull.
Hamilton fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say she was probably what's that guy's name? The
Guy
freaking
Pearsley.
Nikita Mazepin fan, because
Yeah,
she's
Nikita.
Russian. She's a Russian dog. So I was like, damn. It's like, oh, my Russian master ain't racing anymore. He was so trash, by the way. But
That's hilarious.
yeah, that's how I. But like when I watch MotoGP, Moto America, World Superbike, especially World Superbike, it's just another level of entertainment, because you're not sitting when they do the POV views, right, Dion? And my bad if I'm getting on a tangent here, but when they do POVs on Formula One drivers, this is all you see, right? Like, obviously they're doing way more than that, obviously, but as the casual consumer watching Formula One, this is what they're
That's what you see.
right. But then when you watch MotoGP racers, you see them really struggling around corners, really struggling to keep that bike together, and that just adds to the drama of the sport that Formula One doesn't. The on track drama in Formula One is the banter between driver and pit. That's the only thing that we get that is dramatic. Maybe a couple accidents here and there, but when the race is clean, there's really nothing to watch.
True, especially these street circuits where they can't overtake. And I'm speaking about something that I've very little knowledge of, actually, but I watch the Formula One racing, and the street circuits is basically whoever qualifies first. It's so difficult to overtake for these guys. Like you say, the POV is just them holding a steering wheel. Where the photos, I saw some photos of this weekend of Brad Binder in the wet, and that rear tire got in right next to him because he lost traction, and the guy looks like he's on a rodeo. On that motorbike. So it's really the on-track action. MotoGP, I think World Superbike is one of the most underrated superbike or motorcycle series. The action there is always good. You've got Toprak, you've got Batista, you've got some of the best in the world, and it's such an interesting Motor America. I have to be honest, I only recently started following Motor America, but the accent is
Yes,
just as good. Just as
yes,
good. I have to
that's what
follow.
we
There's South
want to hear.
Africans. We've got Souls. We've got Cam Peterson. I need to support South Africans.
Oh man, sucks for Camp Peterson, bro. Man,
Yeah.
he's legit the coolest guy that I've ever met in the paddock. Like, oh my god, Camp Peterson. Carlo Baldi says Formula One is so good to sleep on the sofa. Camp Peterson legit made my first Moto America experience the greatest, and I can't thank him enough for that. And I'm trying to get him on the show, so please, somebody help us.
He'll be on.
And then
He'll
you
be
have
on.
Matt Skoltz, who's just a dog.
He's awesome.
I don't know exactly which part of South Africa they're from. I don't know if they're from around the same area. I think Peterson said he was around where the Binders are from. No?
Yeah, so I think Peterson, if I'm correct, is Johannesburg side, and Matthew Scholes is down from Durban, which is coastal on the coast. We were speaking about Durban earlier, a little bit humid, not my favorite place in the world. So I think Matthew Scholes from the coast, Durban.
Any cultural differences between the two, or is it relatively the same?
It's very say I want to say very much the same. There are a little bit of cultural differences. But yeah, Durban is predominantly a lot more English speaking South Africans. Up in Joburg, you find a lot of Afrikaans people. I don't know if my accent's pulling through, but I'm actually natively, my home language is Afrikaans. I'm actually Afrikaans boy. So,
I was just gonna ask that.
yeah, so I am actually, my own language is Afrikaans. But yeah, Durban, a lot of English, a lot of English speaking people. I have a lot of colleagues that come from Durban, and they're all English. I don't like Afrikaans very much. I don't understand what we're saying when we speak Afrikaans. So, yeah, more English, but across the country, you get. That's a great thing about South Africa. We've got 11 official languages. We've got people of all different sizes and colors, and there's so many different people here. That's why they call us the Rainbow Nation. It's like you can in one town you'll find 6 different cultures, different languages, and different. So it's really a variety of people in the country.
That's awesome. I would love to come and visit one day for sure. It's
Dude,
I would love to go.
I'd love to go, man.
Yes.
Because before I met the wonderful, amazing, 100% perfect girlfriend that I have now, I was speaking to a couple of women from South Africa. So I was like, if all else fails, down to SA. You know what I mean? But
that's awesome.
What's the motorbike culture like over there? Like, is it attractive at all, or is it just people right here or there?
It's I don't want to call it cliquey is not the right word, because cliquey makes it sound like they exclude a certain amount of people, but there is people that enjoy motorcycles and motorcycle racing. If they do, it's a big part of their personality. So you get people that's either not motorcyclists or not motorcycle enthusiasts, or people that are completely in between. It's either all in or nothing. So I think the fact that there's South Africans right over the world doing quite well. There's a young gentleman in the KTM Rookies Cup, Shane Woodley, is doing well. You got the Binder brothers, you got Cam Peterson and Scholes in Motor America. So the interest is picking up. South Africans are a very proud nation. As soon as they see one of their own doing something very well, they like to get involved, and that's when you really see the support coming. And if I'm honest, I've watched MotoGP for a long time, but there was a few years I don't want to say lost interest, but I watched a little bit less. And Brad Binder doing well really got me back into the sport, where I am obsessed with it again. And that's a very South African thing. We love it when our own people do really well.
Oh, hell yeah. Same thing as Americans, yo. Like, oh, look at that double B33.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Dude, that is a sick freaking hat. Was that the hat that you bought at Coda, Chris?
Yeah. I got his and Miller's.
Chris spent like $500 on one boot.
That is.
Yeah.
Damn.
That South African flag. Yeah.
That has crispy.
It's like art.
I have my Circuit at the America hats. This is the hat that they gave Marshall workers. So I gotta clean this thing. This thing's a little dirty. You can't see it on camera, thank God, but it's has some mileage. So with Brad, if we talk about the race, Chris, can we talk about the race real quick?
Yeah, no, let's talk about Moto3, Moto2, and MotoGP. Absolutely.
Brad motherfucking Binder, bro. Holy shit. I was pulling so hard for him because I thought that there was gonna be some like last 5 to 7 lap sweep where he just comes in and just across everybody. Like
On
I
the
was so
inside.
banking on that. Yeah, I was banking on that because he was just doing that lap after lap after lap, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna catch. So close.
Yeah. He did an amazing job.
Oh hell
Yeah,
yeah.
he did.
Yeah, he
I
did
think
amazing.
if you look at the MotoGP race, the first thing that comes to mind for me personally is those Aprilias were just on fire. I think Aprilia was the best bike to be on today. Miguel Oliveira from 16th to 4th, I think he finished. Maverick Vinales right up there fighting, and then obviously Alicia Spargo winning. So I think the Aprilia really liked this track. I think it was an awesome track. I was worried when Miguel and Maverick. I didn't think Brad was going to make the podium, but yeah, he slid that back tire into corners and put it all out there like he usually did, and luckily he got podium there.
Brad Binder was doing what Brad Binder does best, man. Yeah, absolutely. He was amazing. And yeah, my standout obviously is a Leish, man, but also dude Raul on the Aprilia, man. He actually did really good on the Aprilia. It's actually probably his best ride so far this season.
What position he finished in?
I think he finished 13th, maybe.
So I want to give a quick shout out to Augusto Fernandez, bro. What a weekend that kid has had.
Yeah.
What a weekend on the satellite gas bike. He podiumed in the sprint race, didn't he?
I think he was just off.
He was just off.
was
Yeah,
just
like
off.
fourth or
off.
fifth. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he was right freaking there, yo.
Yeah,
And that
he's
just
been
speaks
doing good.
volumes. That
Yeah.
just means KTM, right, is stacked with talent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Stupid stacked. Just get rid of Pole, and then we're good.
we swap all out for Mark Marquez, and then we're good.
Yeah, right. It's like
Imagine.
I think that comment will upset a few people, but the thing is, as a South African, as a Brad Binder fan, and KTM, obviously Brad Binder is the top performing KTM guy right now. I don't want to see Mark Marquez on a KTM because I don't. And again, sorry, I don't think Brad's going to be the top one there anymore because I think Mark will be extremely good on a KTM. So as a South African, I don't want to see Mark on a KTM, but as a MotoGP fan, I do because I think he will be phenomenal. Love or hate him, I think if you put him on a decent bike, he's going to be very good.
Yeah, I agree. I personally think that Aprilia should try to go after.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was
thinking. Take Marquez, man. Get rid of. I mean, man,
you could get rid of either one of them. To be honest,
yeah, for real. Honestly, dude, I would get rid of Alicia Spargo. He's already talked about, he wants to retire soon anyway. So, his love for the game is going to fall out. Of course, I'm sure the win today ignited another fire up in him, right? Which it would. But, yeah, that's what I would do. I'd throw all my eggs in the basket after Marquez, man. Yeah, for sure.
We're 3/4 of the way of the season over, man. I don't know how much points Espargaro can really put up after that. I mean, it was a freaking insane run by the captain, right? But the thing is, Chris, if Marquez does hit factory Aprilia, and I'm gonna call it right now, he's a championship contender.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it right now. A healthy Mark on a very good platform like that, and Aprilia is not even just a decent platform. Aprilia is a very good platform, and if you put a healthy Mark on that bike, I'm sorry, it is over for the league.
What do you think, Dion, about the situation at Honda and Mark Marquez? Do you think he's going to leave?
I do think that every race going the way it's going now, the possibility becomes higher. We all know there's a lot of money outstanding, or he's still in the contract for next year. But Mark has also come out to say he's not in it for the money anymore. He'll literally get on any bike as long as he can win. And at this stage, Mark is on anything except a Honda and a Yamaha. If you put him on a KTM, a Ducati, or a Aprilia, he's going to be a championship contender. If you put him on a half-decent bike, he's going to be a contender. So I think that should make the rest of the paddock worry a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be able to get a deal through. I'm worried, though, because I don't know how good the championship's going to be. As a old school MotoGP fan, we need Yamaha and Honda, and I think if Marquez does leave, I think the possibility of Honda going the Suzuki route and just pulling out becomes much higher. I also think the possibility of Yamaha exiting is higher, because obviously there's a lot of money going into these projects. And the last thing we want to see as MotoGP fans is Yamaha and Honda leave the paddock. So that scares me a little. But at the end of the day, a guy like Mark Marquez is gonna try and get a competitive bike, no matter what color it is, whether it's satellite or factory. And whether it's satellite or factory, I think he will be competitive on any one of those other three bikes.
Do you think he'd concede to a gas bike, but with KTM, but with factory support?
I honestly do believe, because of an interview earlier this year where he said it doesn't matter whether it's factory, satellite, or color. I think if it's a competitive bike, if he thinks the RC16 is a good bike, whether it's Husqvarna, gas, whatever they label it as, if it has factory support, whether it's satellite bike, I think he'll go. I think if he gets the opportunity, he'll go.
Yeah, I do too.
Even for Aprilia.
That facts, and also, there's still 2 bikes to be on the grid to take Suzuki's spot. So, I think that Ducati should give up one of their teams
to Yamaha.
And let Yamaha have another satellite team, and then bring another
BMW.
team in. Right. I mean, whoever it is, right? Listen, I love Ducati, and they're one of my favorites. But man, they get so much more data than all the other bikes out there on the grid, right? From the slowest to the fastest. So they got a great pile of wealth of knowledge just because of that, where the others, they got one super fast and one that crashes all the time, right? Or one that's off the pace and not as fast. So it's a double-edged sword when it comes to that. But we'll see, man. It's going to be exciting. We'll hear the news on all the major players and all the movement here shortly.
Silly season.
Yeah, there's still 24 races left, right? Yeah, I think 24 races left, man. So it's
okay. So not 3/4 away, more like half.
No. Yeah, we're about halfway through. Yeah.
Okay. All right. My bad.
Yeah.
Math wrong.
Okay.
It's turning into the International Ducati Championship. Like, it's just like that's pretty much what it's. Who is the faster Ducati rider? I mean, we had some bombshell news. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, I just want to say, I think what you guys are mentioning about the information that they're gathering, it's very prominent. Even if you see on Fridays where Pecco Bagnaia maybe starts off badly on a Friday, by Sunday, 9 times out of 10, he's in the front. And I think that has a big thing to do with all the information they're able to gather from all the different bikes. I think it's 8 Ducatis right now on the grid. So they have time over the weekend to figure it out. And 9 times out of 10, by Sunday, they figured it out. And Bagnaia is competitive because of the information available. So it does give them a little bit of edge. And I've also always said something. I know it will never happen because there's a lot of different manufacturers. But if you really want to crown a world champion, put them on equal equipment. Put them all on whatever, and then you can see who. You can't say it. In my opinion, Pecco Bagnaia isn't world champion. Ducati is. If he wasn't a KTM last year, it wasn't his. And people's gonna maybe comment on that, but I actually think that's the truth.
Yeah, and you know what I say, Dion? That's perfect. You're absolutely. Let's put everybody on the Suzuki, the 2022 Suzuki when they left, and let everybody just race that bike.
Oh man, in my opinion, I think Fabio would probably take that because Mark wasn't healthy that year.
No. I'm talking about now, next year, 2024. Everybody put on the Suzuki, and let everybody race the Suzuki. That's equal footing, equal. Yeah, absolutely.
I would probably say it would be either Martin or Miller.
I'm gonna go Rins. I think Alex Rins would.
Yeah.
Alex Rins, I think, is a very naturally talented athlete.
And he's going to factory Yamaha. What do you guys think of that move?
I think it's brilliant.
Me too.
I agree with you guys. I think his riding style, fast cornering speed, smooth riding style, it's going to suit the what we know as the strong points of Yamaha. Obviously, they did those engine upgrades and stuff now for a little bit of top speed. So they lost a little bit of that cornering speed. But I think the conventional Yamaha, as we know it, with Alex Rins's riding style, with high cornering speeds, smooth style, I think it could work very well.
Yeah, I say the same thing. I always thought that when Suzuki was still a thing, that Rins was always the faster rider. Like I didn't really believe Mir was an actual champion. I always thought that Rins was the better rider hands down. And we saw that when he lugged that hunk of junk Honda to the finish line in P1 in Austin, which you could only imagine I went ballistic when he won that. But the fact that he was man, when was the last time a satellite Honda team has won a GP? Matter of fact, when was the last time Honda has won a GP? You know what I mean?
Think about how funny that sounds too, right? When's the last time HRC won a MotoGP when they used to dominate the sport for years and years and years? But now we're seeing the tide change. We're seeing back in the day, man, it was the Japanese manufacturers that just killed all the European bikes. I mean, it wasn't even close. Now the tides have turned. Now the European bikes are superior over the Japanese bikes. And man, it's sad to say it, man. I feel like they're giving up and quitting too soon, right? Suzuki, for whatever reason, they left. You know, we're all hearing rumors about Yamaha and Honda. Man, it would be a great shame. I know we already touched on this for a second, but also I feel like, man, suck it up, Buttercup. God damn it, we're in a Premier League racing of the world. It's gonna happen. So untuck your tail, put your chin up high, and get to it, Buttercup, and make it happen.
I don't mind, guys, if there is a generational brand that dominates. It happens. That's how sports happens. Sports in general. There's going to be a dominant period of time for certain players, individuals, teams. But it's easier to say for Ducati because they have was it 8 freaking bikes on the track? So it's like, is it really Ducati dominance or is it Ducati dominance? If you know what I'm trying to say. So I don't know.
I mean, you can't take nothing away from Alvaro, right? I mean, he's just killing it in SBK.
I agree. Okay. I agree.
I mean, murdering it, right? Nobody else was doing it, so it's Alvaro. That's the difference. Again, a lot of people are complaining in SBK about 500 RPMs and this and that, limited this, man. Just it shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't. That's taken away from the sport, in my opinion, 100%.
What do you think, Dave?
I have to agree with you guys. It's, talking about the SPK thing, the first thing that comes into my mind is what would Jack Miller say? Just get on with it, guys. This is let's just you complain about your bike, get a better bike. It's as simple as that. But unfortunately, on the GP grid, you can't deny that eight bikes makes a massive difference. And what I've seen, it makes a massive difference. And what I see is, and I'm not on the inside at all, but listening to everybody's opinions, I think the European guys have been much more eager to throw money at development and putting their names on the line and testing new things. Guys like Kate inside the box where they print parts and aero wings and they flip it on there and they try new things, where the stories coming from HRC and Yamaha is they test stuff 300 times over. If there's a new wing, it goes to Japan, it gets tested, it gets painted 16 different colors, they drive over it 100 times, they stretch test it, and then maybe they give it the go ahead, and it's 6 months down the line and development's already past that part that they thought would work. So I think the European guys are just more open mindset, eager to throw the money in it. And like you say, it's a generation. Maybe 6 years from now, we sit here with a whole lot more viewers from both our sides. We'll be much bigger, the two podcasts, and we talk about Honda dominance again. Who knows? You never know what happens.
6 years later, American team Buell joins MotoGP, and then we end up dominating, with Ford engines.
With Ford engines.
With inline Ford engines. I mean, hey, they're making their waves in Formula One in a couple of years. So shoot, Ford, come to MotoGP, man. Could you imagine a factory Ford bike? That'd be insane. But in order for them to do that, they'd have to obviously sell a Ford production bike. So yeah, nah. But that'd be awesome.
Nothing surprises me in this world anymore. Honestly, we heard that aliens existed a month ago, so there's nothing that surprises me anymore. So
I love it.
We see a Ford on the grid.
I love it too.
But it seems like so I was about to mention the championship lead. It seems like the championship lead is pretty significant at the moment, but it wouldn't have been that way if Marco Bezzecchi didn't spill. How much of a beast Marco Bezzecchi is. Holy shit.
Bezecchi
he
is
is.
amazing.
Dude.
I
Marco
also
Bezzecchi is
think he's very good. Yeah. So I heard Casey Stoner saying at Goodwood Festival of Speed. I don't know if you guys heard that he thinks that Bezecchi, if you go back and take off all this electronics and stuff, that Bezecchi would be one of the best riders on the grid. And I do believe that. I think today was just maybe an experience mistake. It seems like he was too eager to try and catch Pecco, but he's youngish in the paddock, and he hasn't been a long around that. I think in a year or two from now, he's not only going to be a serious title contender. I think he can be a world champion. I think he's got the talent.
Agreed. 110% agree with you, Dion. He's one of the naturally gifted, talented riders, if not the most on the grid right now. 100%.
if he wasn't riding a Ducati, I'd be a huge fan of him right now. And that goes to show the difference of I guess career maturity, veteranship between Bezzecchi and Alicia Spargo, right? Because you see Alicia was taking his time. He got passed a couple times by the people behind him, but you see him taking his time and trying to weave the perfect line. Whereas Bezzecchi was trying to top rack that shit and it sent his bike flying to the moon. You know what I'm saying? And he had so much time like that. That's what bothered me is that Bezzecchi had so much time to make a proper move. But you're right, that youth, that angst, that not that much of a mature rider just yet kind of took over his instincts and then sent him barreling down.
Yeah, it's I think that Bezzecchi, yeah, he outbroke himself for sure, but it's hard when a Ducati's fighting another Ducati, man, it's hard for them to pass each other, right? Because they're all fairly similar in performance, especially the Primac in the factory.
Mhm.
It makes it hard, right? Where that's why other bikes, their strengths are different in other areas of the track, So yes, Leish did really well following and picking his battles, right? His lines that he's going to take to win, which was awesome. I mean, dude, when Leish won, I was great, dude. It was yes,
I
man.
got
It was it's fantastic. Yes, to see that instead of the same old person winning all the time, right?
Oh, here we go. Oh, we got a
That's
long
true.
one here. Pause. Chris Glandon says, I wish Aprilia was doing better for us consumers. The customers. Their bikes and support is horrible versus what I see in MotoGP track. As an RS660 owner, you lucky bastard, and having nothing but issues, it's been a frustrating experience. I know these people are apples to oranges in comparison, but it's still frustrating with lack of customer support and quick part solutions for factory issues under warranty. Um, yeah, I agree. I feel like one of the best factory supports, in which I feel like all motorcycle brands should really learn from, is Ducati. I feel like Ducati really takes care of their consumers, and I just wish Aprilia did the same thing because of the spike in Aprilia sales. I have a friend who owns an Aprilia dealership literally 10 minutes away from me, and the things that he's able to do for Aprilia consumers within his jurisdiction is the one of the best versions of customer service that I've seen. And I say within his jurisdiction because Aprilia, the company themselves, don't really have a lot to them. And I figured as an Italian company that sells high class sport bikes, I wonder why they are the way they are. Ducati doesn't do that.
I think it's a difficult one. Size-wise, I think, and maybe that's why I mentioned apples to oranges. I don't think Aprilia maybe at the stage where they can, I don't want to handle, but the growth has been bigger maybe than they expected. But hopefully that picks up because I do think it's a good motorcycle. But with anything, I'm a salesman myself as a day job. Your product's only as good as your after sales. If there's no parts and after sales service available, a good product doesn't mean much. The proper service part of anything comes after the sales made. Making a sale is the easy thing. It's after the sales made. That's when the service plays into it. So I'm hoping Aprilia can pick that up. But I'm thinking it's going to be similar in most countries. South Africa, you don't see a lot of Aprilias around here. So if you do have one, I also don't think parts are regularly available. But hopefully, as production and as popularity of the bike increases, the service levels will increase as well.
Yeah, again, Dion, you hit it right on the head. You know, they're such a small company, and they probably grew quicker than what they expected. And it's just like with any bike, right? Other manufacturers that are bigger, they have that proper testing where they test it for 100,000 miles on the dyno, make sure the engine is not going to blow up or whatever electronic issues that they happen to have. Whereas a smaller company, they still have their R&D they put in it, but it might not be to that extent as the bigger companies. Okay, I don't know that for a fact. That's just what I assume. But yeah, it's Aprilia's not had the best service history. I've been told, in dealing with their customers on warranties and stuff like that.
I think they'll get better. I mean,
They will, absolutely.
with the growth, and especially with the RS660 platform and the amount of sales that they generated, they're probably sitting back at Piaggio or Aprilia like, holy shit, that we are selling a lot of a bike. So
Mamma mia!
it's it's gonna take some time, man. I think Aprilia owners are not hung out to dry just yet. Things are obviously getting better, especially with the release of a middleweight sport bike. I mean, like that's a big brand change because they're only selling like race machinery and high powered vehicles and a couple of ugly looking scooters. So they changed their whole game with this. So if they're able to make that sort of revolutionary change, I'm pretty sure warranties and parts and stuff like that will eventually catch on.
Dion,
pretty sure it will. Like, sorry,
go
Chris,
ahead.
yeah?
Sorry, no, you go first. Sorry.
No, I think what you're saying there is true. There's a gentleman, I don't know, I wish I could remember his name, is an American gentleman. It's very popular on TikTok and all these channels that has a Aprilia as well, that makes videos. And I think as the brand grows, and because they release that mid-range, that 600 size bike, those are very popular right across the world because they have the power to give you the adrenaline you need, but it's not a 1,000cc motorcycle that's overpowered and difficult to ride. But that's really the good market to be in. That R6, ZX6R, that type of market, I think, is really the booming market in the motorcycle industry right now.
It is absolutely. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Is that they did it right. Aprilia with the RS660 in the middleweight, right? You got Yamaha with the R7, and man, all the other manufacturers making middleweight sports bikes, and nobody, man, not everybody can go out and afford a $30,000 brand new, 1,000
RSV4,
Ducati, a BMW RSV4, and then what they don't tell you is when the service on a Ducati is fucking outrageous, right? They don't tell you that until you take it for your first service. You're like, yeah, that'd be $2,400. You're like, wait, what? For sale? Can I trade that in on that bike over there? Right? It's like,
yeah, but isn't like the maintenance interval for Ducati longer than like a Japanese bike though?
No, absolutely not. They used to be every 6,000
So they lied to me.
Yeah, every six. Well, listen, hold up, Jules. Every 6,000 miles on the old belt driven 6,000 or 7,000 miles on the belt driven cam bikes. When they come out with the V4, they went to gear driven cam, so it's every 16,000 miles. So now it is comparable to an inline four, but again, when you take it in, it's going to hit that wallet. So I hope you got a nice chunk of change when you go in there, because
so
that's what it's going to cost you. Yeah, it's not. Dude, they're not cheap.
No, but I'm assuming if you have the money to buy a new Ducati, you have the money to afford the service.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, how tough it is? How tough is it to do some of the work yourself, Chris?
You can rent the special tools.
They're special tools. That's all you had to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, I could work on a motorcycle is a motorcycle, a motor is a motor, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, you gotta. They don't sell their special tools, not all of them, and you got to have certain ones to do a proper valve job and actually know what you're doing. It's not like a normal V-twin or inline four, because it's got the Desmotronic valve train, right? It's the only bike in the world that has it. So they're different because on that, the cam actually opens and closes the valve, right? So you have an opening shim and a closing shim and rocker arms and all that good shit. So yeah, they're different for sure.
Fellow South African Ray Hendy, Raging Ray Hendy in the building, yo.
Yeah, that's my man. What is up, Ray?
He says, hola.
Hola.
Are you guys familiar with each other, Dion? You know Ray Hendy? He runs that Gasoline Cowboys page on Facebook. I don't know
Yep.
if you've seen it.
I think I've seen the page. I'm not familiar with Ray himself personally.
Mm.
You, Me and MotoGP actually started this year only, so we're
Oh,
not too familiar with a lot of South African podcasters or journalists or even guys that have page. But we spoke about Donovan Free
Yep.
earlier, Chris.
free.
I looked at Free. Yeah, you got it right. Agents. You got the exit. Yeah, I just look at these guys and just follow them, Donovan and Rob and all these guys. For me, it's a goal to be where they are one day. So we look at them and try and learn from them. And so hopefully we know them one day. That's the goal to be going in the same circles.
Man,
Yeah.
to grab a beer and some wings with you guys and Donovan would be amazing. It would it would definitely be
No,
something.
it would. Yeah. So
It's
Ray
goals. We'll
Hendy's a
make it
good
happen.
mate of ours, and so is Donovan. I talked to Donovan on Facebook Messenger. We send each other messages a lot. He's Donovan's super awesome. And he always tells me, dude, I'll be on the podcast whenever you want me to come on there and we can talk shit. I was like, all right, we'll set it up for sure.
And this is a professional telling us that he would do that. This is a guy who's in journalism. This is a guy who's supposed to be professional, and he's like fuck this, fuck that, and I'm like, this is
Donovan's
great.
awesome. I
love
love
it.
Donovan. I love Ray Hendy, man. I love all them guys. All you guys. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
I think this is like a my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dion, but like maybe I'm speaking for you, maybe I'm not, but I feel like this is the perfect time to be in motorcycling journalism, period, podcast and whatnot, because it is a generational shift between talent, brands, and teams leaving, teams coming in. So like if there's any time for this sport to be covered, it's definitely now.
I agree with you. From our side, why we also decided to do this, we feel and we hope that MotoGP especially will be one of the big next things in South Africa. I feel that Brad will maybe not right now, but will be a title contender. And once he is, a lot more South Africans will get invested in this. So we wanted to be, I don't want to call it on the ground level. There's guys that's been doing this for years. We mentioned Donovan, we mentioned Rob Portman, we mentioned all these guys that's been in this industry for years, that's laid the groundwork. But we wanted to jump on the MotoGP podcasting, proper podcasting thing now, because we feel that this sport will grow. The sport is interesting enough. It's just a matter of time when people realize, fuck, this is so much better than F1. This is good racing. We want to watch this. So it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right, man. And you know what, dude? Brad Binder will be a title contender. Again, he is so fast and so talented. I don't know what it is about him putting it all together for a complete race, because he either has a shit start or he takes off like a scalded dog and that's it, right? But yeah, he will. He'll be a title contender for sure. And honestly, man, I would love to see him and Jack Miller get a title for KTM. Obviously, man, but between the two, I really like them both, so it would be hard for me to like one more than the other, I would say, right? And also a big fan of KTM. But yeah, you're right. Bender will be a title contender, and when he does, I know how big he is in South Africa, and not even just there, all over the world. There's a lot of Americans here that love Brad Binder too, as well.
Yes, Brad Binder and Jack Miller are the closest thing to American that we have.
Especially Miller. Yeah, especially Miller.
Jack Miller.
Yeah.
Miller
the
is
closest thing to American.
he is the coolest guy. I'm borderline, I think, almost a bigger Jack Miller fan, because it just always feels to me that he's not that well, maybe he is, but he doesn't care. Like the media filters or the media train, he just says what he wants to say. I just love that, man. He just goes on and be like, oh, you could better buy a bike, get a better bike. That's as simple as that.
Right. Get a better,
So you have to love Jack.
Yeah, quit crying and just ride the bike, right? So listen, man, let's talk about Moto3 real quick, because Moto3 was an amazing race. Jules, did you watch it?
No, I only saw MotoGP.
Man,
I had a really busy morning.
Big shout out to David Alonso that won the race, man, coming from 24th to win.
Oh, that was an amazing race. I think the top four, whatever, that was so close. But that's classic Moto3, elbows out. I think if you're a motorcycle enthusiast, you need to watch Moto3, and there's no way you won't enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely got to do that. I realized that this year I'd be sleeping on the classes that I don't really watch. So like for Moto America, I slept on the junior class for a long time. Now it's my favorite class. So I've been sleeping on Moto 3. I definitely got to get into it.
That's a shame, Jules, because it's just
It
like
is a
Junior Cup of
shame.
Moto
I
America,
know,
man.
I know,
It's
I know.
probably one of the best classes to watch, just because of the man. All the kids are
Back and forth.
well, but dude, their emotions are a lot more evident, right? Because the younger kids and they really play off their emotions, and you feel the intensity. And when they laugh, they laugh. When they cry, and it's dude, that passion is unreal. Just like in Junior Cup of Moto America, we get to you get to see it all, right? Versus somebody that's won 100 million times, right? Let's say Pecco, he gets up there, yeah, he smiles in front of the camera, but it's not like when somebody wins in the lower class and just like, yeah, they just keep just going off, and it's
The passion's there.
it really is.
Chris Glandon says, for Dion, have you heard any chatter about CF Moto and how their bikes are doing in Moto 3?
I haven't actually anything while you guys were chatting. Now, I quickly try to see if I can pull up something here, because that is complete news to me. I see they're a Chinese manufacturer of motorcycles. So I'll actually do a little bit of homework, Chris. I have to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and try and thumbs up. This is the first I heard of it, but always like to hear about new news and things going on. So I'm going to do a little bit of homework, and I'll maybe reach out to you guys, and we can put a post out or something about what's going on there.
Yeah,
we feed on your gossip. This is why we're here.
We're definitely
in the
do that for you,
blood-sucking
Chris.
business.
That's it.
We're here to take any information and run with it and stretch it as far as we can. But
let me give you guys breaking news. Mark Marquez will ride Husqvarna in 2024. You heard it here first with Pedro Acosta, and it will be an LCR Husqvarna. I know the rumors have been squandered, but where there's smoke, there's a fire.
Listen, facts, Dion. Listen, we talked about this.
Do they?
Yeah. Always when there's smoke, there's fire. But how much does the fire get going once it's started, right? Because a lot of times they're put out before. But listen, this one that he just said is it's been a lot of fires around the Husqvarna and all that when Colombian Wings things pee in this cup, buddy. Then we celebrate.
Oh my god!
That is comments of the night. I love that.
Yes, I do too. That is awesome. I'm trying to see who did that.
It's time for you guys. Yeah, just as Facebook user.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out who it is.
Just real quick, gentlemen. Chris, in about like 5 minutes, I'm gonna let you take over, man. I got an emergency thing that I gotta take care of.
Yep, you go ahead.
But no, we get a little chop shop right here. That's hilarious. Excuse me.
Whoever you are that put that, post your name so I know who it is.
State your name. We need to know who you are.
That's awesome.
So
sorry, Chris, you were busy saying something and I read that comment.
Who, me?
Yeah, I saw you were halfway saying something there and I read the comment. You said where there's smoke, there's fire.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So the Husqvarna Baby Jeebus and Mark Marquez coming, right? I've heard that before. So it's been smoke to that fire for a little bit, right? Ray, my man Ray Hendy said that. I had a feeling it was.
Of course, that was freaking Ray Hendy,
dude.
Of course,
Ray is awesome.
Ray, you need to get on the show, buddy.
Yeah, we need to bring Ray in.
Yeah, bring Ray back. He's hilarious. Holy crap!
He's awesome.
Ray is like our intrusive thoughts, just in the South African accent.
Facts. He's awesome.
He's everything that we don't want to say publicly that he will. And there's not a lot of things that I don't want to say publicly.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of us South Africans are a little bit uncensored, so
I love it. And it was crazy is that you guys are so nice too. So that when y'all get in those tangents, I'm like, this is a great change of character right here. I like it.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, man, I have to catch up with Moto 2 as well. I have not seen the Moto 2 race. Moto 3 I'm definitely sleeping on. Moto 2 freaking Rory Skinner came back, and I had no clue how well he did. Did you guys watch the Moto 2 race?
I did, but I didn't pay attention where he finished because it was nowhere near the front. So
Yeah. Yeah.
But our boy Joe
Also-
Roberts did.
He did?
Joe Roberts did really good. I think he finished 6th or 7th, I think.
Yeah, he finished in 4th, I think.
Okay, 4th. Yeah.
Sorry, I was also just having a glance at it because I was really prepping for the pod. But the
Who won? It's like, who won this race? Who did win? Was it Arbolino? Oh no, who won the race?
Aldegar, I think, won it.
Mhm.
Who?
Aldegar.
Oh, Aldegar. Oh yeah. Because I remember Jorge
Aldegar?
Martin, like
Aldegar.
he had like a hard on when he saw Aldegar won. So I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. I saw it on Instagram. I was like, man, like the Moto 2 class has to be, in my opinion, one of the most difficult classes. I feel like they go to Moto 2, you're top of the world in something in like other countries, and you go to Moto 2 and you get absolutely smacked out. It's kind of sad to see.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
my heroes.
Moto 2's you said it right. It's a really rough class. You'll take Moto 3 champions and put them on a Moto 2 bike, and they'll
They'll get demolished.
Look at Della Porta, perfect
Ugh.
example, right? Lorenzo Della Porta
Lord.
won the Moto 3 champ on the Leopard, goes to Moto 2 and
It just gets trampled.
just gets robbed. So
I think there's a little bit of it's becoming top heavy because you've got so much talent in MotoGP and the guys aren't really pulling through because you've got a lot of guys, 1 or 2 a year. I think this year we had 1 rookie in MotoGP. So you got 1 guy going from Moto 2 to MotoGP. So the talent's really building up in that Moto2 class. So half of that class is absolutely sublime. I don't think Darren Binder was bad on a MotoGP bike last year. That Yamaha
Definitely
obviously isn't
not.
the best motorcycle to be on, and he's currently riding around at 15th. So, and then you get guys like Jake Dixon, Aaron Canet, Pedro Costa is obviously going to make the move, but he's there. I think because of the top heavy talent of MotoGP and only 1 or 2 pulling through into the top class, that second class is really becoming massively filled with talent. So
It's kind of scary, man. It's like, as a top man in Moto 2, you have to really question where you're going to go with your career because GP isn't making any drastic movements to recruiting new talent. World Superbike is over convoluted with talent as well. So it's like, man, like as do you want to be like the next Sam Lowe's and just stay there for 30 years? Like, what
right? No,
is there to do?
we need to bring them to Moto America. That's what we need.
Yes.
To do. Bring them to
Sammy,
Moto America.
Please come to Moto America. We'll take the talent. Holy crap, Chris. We'll take any one of them. We'll take Arbolino. We'll take Arenas. We'll take all those guys. Come here.
We'll take Della Porta.
We'll take Della Porta. We'll take Agura.
We'll
take freaking the trash bag of Chelsea Vietti. We'll take him. Like,
he said the trash bag. That's awesome.
Come on.
You know what they should do? They should put an age cap at MotoGP so we could kick the old guys out. Joan Zarco and Alessio Spargaro, they borderline grandpas now. There's the door. New talent. Every year we just recycle, just throw new talent in there.
I mean, that might not be a bad idea. Have an age cap. You're right in MotoGP. Can't be 65 racing no more. Can't do it. Right? Yeah.
Buzz off, old man.
Yeah, like 35, maybe 36, 34, something like that. Kick them out. Boom. Go SBK or Moto America or wherever.
Yeah, because how old is Zarco's definitely the oldest guy there, right?
I'm pretty sure Zarco's the oldest one.
Yeah. He was like 35.
Him and Elisha, I think.
Yeah.
He's like 35, 36.
Maybe.
Not saying it's old, but because people come after me when I say, "Oh, he's in his 30s, he's old," and I'm like, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's not old." Da, 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 da. You know what's old? Well, wait till you get 45, 50. And I'm like, oh my god, like, dude, I'm just saying they're old for the sport. Like, come on.
So I quickly checked. Zarco's only 33 years old, but it feels like he's 50.
Oh, it does, don't it? Yeah.
He's only 3 years older than me.
We're sorry,
Zarco.
Zarco.
Yeah, sorry, man. He's not. He's. I think the Ducati stress is making him age a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, he's only 3 years older than me, and he looks significantly older than me.
Well, yeah, he's got a high stress job too, right? Think about, yeah. I mean, dude, his career almost ended when he quit KTM. He's lucky Honda gave him a ride for those 2 or 3 races they did, and then Ducati picked him up. So because if it wouldn't been for that, Johan Zarco would have been in SBK or maybe BSB. I would love to see him in BSB
Oh yeah, or Moto America.
or Moto America, of course. Moto
We should.
America.
Do you guys like have your own like a South African championship there? That's like a breeding ground for talent.
Yeah, we do. Unfortunately, it's like Motor America televised. It does get televised on the side, but not as often as we want to.
Oh,
I've really made it a mission of mine because obviously now with the MotoGP, we've gotten to know some of the guys. There's a good friend of ours that we usually go live with on TikTok. His name is Tian. He's in the local championship. They call him Rooster. Really nice guy. So yeah, it's one of our missions this year is to actually get to know the local championship as well. Because as we set out on this journey, we said, okay, we're going to focus on MotoGP. MotoGP is our thing. But as our audience is growing and as our viewers are growing, we obviously see that a lot of people that are interested in MotoGP are local races, and there's a lot of local interest as well. So that's something we want to expand into and really get to know these guys and do some interviews with these guys. That's the goal because obviously they tie into one another, and that there's always been massive interest, but obviously with someone like Brad doing well, the interest has spiked. There's local shopping, local adverts this side now about a young gentleman that Brad helped or that got to meet Brad for the first time. He's a young gentleman that's trying to make it a motorcycle racing, and Checkers, which is a retailer here, they sponsored the young man. So it's you're seeing the ads on TV for local development. It's becoming more and more popular. So like I said earlier, the sport is growing, and as the sport grows, everything else grows with it. So yeah, we definitely we have that locally, and we want to get more involved with that as well.
hey man, just pass me these guys' names on social media, and I'll look them up and see if we get them on the show. You know what I'm saying? But gentlemen, Chris, I'm gonna let you captain the ship from here, man. Dion, it was nice and a wonderful pleasure speaking with you, man. And I can't wait to have this conversation again, hopefully on your platform.
We will do. Jules, thank you so much. I'll stay in touch with Chris, and I'll pop you a message that will maybe just add on WhatsApp, and we can set it up for our platform, and we can get something out there. Thank you so much for your time, but I appreciate it.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris, the whole effing show Simcoe. Peace out.
See you, Jules. All right. Yeah, man. So I want to give a big shout out to our boy Jillian Carrera. He races in the British Talent Cup over there. He raced this weekend. So yeah, big shout out to him. He did an amazing job, which is awesome. So what we were touching on is we have a group out here, actually ran by his dad, Michael Carrera. It's the FSL Mini GP, and they're out of South Florida Mini GP. And he teaches the up and coming kids. Matter of fact, he has some in the Junior Cup in Moto America. Avery Dreyer, Isaac Woodworth. There's several of them, and they're fast kids, and they're up and coming. So that's our major platform here in the United States as far as up and talented kids. We did hear about the John Hopkins and the American thing with the Moto2 team, right, Dion? But dude, it's not advertised here. Like they're not doing anything at all.
I think that makes it a little bit more difficult because obviously anything in this world revolves around money, and as soon as the advertising comes, the commercial money comes, and when the commercial money comes, then you can really start to develop it. So hopefully this is all just signs, and you guys having that. Do you think that's going to help you guys get the next Nicky Hayden into a MotoGP from an American point of view? Is that the plan? How's the ground phase development on your side, if I may ask, Chris? Is it sufficient enough to have the next Nicky Hayden in a few years, do you think?
I do. I think that it's just like all the other aliens, right? There's one out of a million people that would ever be like Valentino, Nikki Hayden, and them, right? But as far as getting somebody to that top next level, yes, absolutely. Yeah, Michael and what he's doing in that whole South Florida mini GP, and it's dude. He supplies the bikes, the boots, the leathers, the helmets. All you got to do is show up. That's it.
That's amazing. That's
And he
amazing.
teaches all the kids. It's not televised, but sometimes the guy, I forget the guy's name, he'll pull it up on Facebook and does it live like that. But yeah, his work is amazing. Actually, he was on the podcast 2 weeks ago, and I got his logo, the South Florida Mini GP logo on my shirt. I wanted to collaborate with him and spread the love and the word and try to help because the more he grows and the more kids we can have coming out. But yeah, one of his kids, I just said, Avery Jayer, he's in the Junior Cup with several others, and he's actually leading the championship right now in the Junior Cup. So yeah, absolutely. One day we'll have another American over there. It's just hard, especially coming from America, getting over there in Europe into GP. We have another one, Jillian, in the British Talent Cup right now, which is Michael's son racing over there, number 40, which is, dude, he's so fast. He was actually on the podcast too. So we're getting out there, we're getting there, but it's not as easy as the Europeans, because it's basically that whole format in MotoGP and all that is formatted around the Spanish and the Italian riders. I mean, just look at Dion, just look at Valentino Rossi and his ranch, right? There's no Spaniards in there. They're all Italians. There's very few, and if you do make it in there, you'll see them, but then they quickly disappear, right? They don't stick around too long. Same thing with the Spanish. It's almost really political. It's not almost, it is really political, and it just, I'm trying to find the right wordage to say to describe it, right? It's almost like they don't really want us in there, if that makes sense. They need an American in there, but the pathway to get there and their acceptance of us don't seem like it was previously when Nikki Hayden raced, right?
No, I have to agree with you. I think you're 100% right. Hopefully with the new, and I always forget his name. I think it's Dan, the new chief commercial officer. I hope really MotoGP and they have their plans to expand this way past the Spanish and Italian dominant grid. And obviously, if that's where most of the talent comes from, there's not much you can do it, but you need to open the pathways for Americans, for South Africans, for Australians, for Japanese, for people from all across the globe, because that's how we're going to get at a much bigger internationally. It doesn't help that we have Spanish and Italian dominated grids, but on the flip side of the coin, we need to make sure as these independent countries that we have developments like you guys have now with that mini, that the guys are on the level and ready to challenge for world championships, and that they are the best of the best. And then MotoGP on their side needs to make sure that the access getting into there isn't stopped by. And I'm a massive Rossi fan. Don't get me wrong here, but I can tell you now, the VR46 Academy and the influence Rossi still has on the paddock. A guy like Franco Morbidelli is not going to lose his seat now. He will be in the VR46 racing team next year, and I think Bezecchi will move on to Pramac. But should that have been a South African or American, I think they would have been without a seat, regardless of talent and stuff. So I think that there's still a very, I don't want to call it a clique, but a internal safe space for Italians and Spanish with Dorna and this group where they safeguard these guys. Not safeguard, but I think it's much more. It's much easier to lose your seat if you're not Italian or Spaniard, and that's just a personal opinion.
No, I agree with it. Also, the man, when these kids are born and they start racing at 3-4 years old on a stiff chassis motorcycle. Here in America, we don't have those, right? We have production bikes, right? And that's what we grow up racing. Of course, back in the day, we had the two strokes, which was amazing. I wish they would bring those back, but that's a whole nother subject, right? Those are the true race bikes, right? Is the 500 two-stroke and the 250s. But so we grow up on and racing production bike machines, and then we go there. Just look at SDK and Joe Roberts in Moto 2. It took Joe Roberts a minute to get used to that Moto 2 machine to where he started, doing decent. And then he tailors off and he's decent, and you hear SDK on his interview the other day, and he's like, man, these are completely different motorcycles, the chassis, everything, the way you got to ride it, your riding style. And if you don't grow up racing those bikes at a younger age and learn that, it's difficult for other people, Australians, United States, the UK boys, to go over there and actually do well right off the jump, which a lot of people expect, high expectations, right? Oh yeah, he's gonna go there and kick ass and all. I'm like, man, it's gonna be a while because it's a lot to learn. It's such a steep learning curve, and they're a lot less forgiving, right? So that's where the Italians and the Spanish are so far superior to anybody else in the world as far as when it comes to training motorcycle racers.
I think you're 100% right. I might be factually wrong here. I don't know exactly this, but I know Brad also went over at a young age. I think he was 14, 15 years old. Him and his mother went over because I think at that time they identified if you want to make it in the sport, you need to be in that Spanish or that Italian culture and competing with those guys from a young age. I honestly don't think as a South African, if you've hit 22, 23 years old, you can then go over and then compete on that level. You need to be able to compete on that level from a younger age. So a part of the onus is on MotoGP to make it easier, but a part of the onus is on us as Americans and South Africans to make sure we get our riders from young age, from ground level, we get them on the right equipment and competitive. So when they make that step to Europe, that it's not a massive step and they feel they're drowning, that they can be competitive there as well. But I guess it's easy for a small-time podcaster sitting over here with a microphone and me fixing all the problems. But that's just a personal opinion. I might be completely wrong. Someone might be listening to this and think, "Oh my word, that guy is such a knob." But yeah, no, that's just my opinion.
No, and it's been, and they're all good opinions. I don't think it's a dumb opinion at all. There, like I said, there's so much that has to go into it, politics, and they're just, we just basically what it comes down to is we don't have the structure like they got, right? Where here in America we shit, eat, and breathe football and NASCAR and blah blah blah. Where over there they do that with motorcycles and racing, right? We have another question by Chris again. It says USA seems to be missing the bikes, the tracks, and the level of training. The tracks are a huge difference for US and everywhere else from a difficulty perspective. Yeah, absolutely right. Again, it's we only have a A1 ring here in America. It's Texas, right? It's the only venue that's safe enough for MotoGP. And you know what else we're missing is World Superbike. Why don't we have any more World Superbike races in America? Like, we're missing that too, right? That'll also help promote the sport to Americans, because you bring production-based racing. Yes, Moto America is that too, but you got World Superbike is the best out of production racing out of all the countries, right? You got Germany, Japan, all this other stuff, right? So why not bring the biggest along with MotoGP to America to showcase that off too? It's a missing market. It'll also help promote the sport and bring other people in. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Chris. And we spoke about this earlier or previously. Something else that I think that will need to happen, and this is coming from a complete different angle at it. And this is something Formula One that right is Drive to Survive created a massive interest among common people, among everybody, where people now, you don't need to be a massive F1 fan to know F1. And I think MotoGP and the sport in general, if you can do that, and if you, especially the American market, if you could get the people invested in the sport on that level, then you've got young people in the States looking, say, I want to be like a Lando Norris, saying, instead of Lando Norris, they're saying, I want to be like a Jack Miller. And then you could pick up the development, and the money and the stuff then comes with that. So if you need to get the interest there. And I know we had, I think it was called MotoGP Unlimited. It didn't work as well as Drive to Survive. I think a big part of that is because a lot of it was in Spanish or Italian, but that's a story for another day. But you need to create that interest, I think. And once the interest is there and the sport is well known, the money will follow. And as the money follows, the development follows. And that's a big thing. And I honestly think Dorna can do a better job. The other thing, they can do a better job. They can do, why don't they do a World Superbike round combined with the Kota MotoGP round? Get them there on one weekend. I know logistically it might not be the easiest thing to do, but create that hype. Do a MotoGP World Superbike combined round one weekend in Kota, and you get a shit ton of people there, and you really raise the interest. I'm not saying that it will be able. I don't know the logistics of it, but just thinking outside the box a little bit more.
No, yeah, I mean they see the couple years when GP came, Moto America was there too, the same weekend racing with the GP boys. So yeah, absolutely it could work. The issue with Texas is too is, you know, they're always repaving it because of from my understanding, the ground that they built it on shifts a lot, right? And it separates and it causes all these ripples and stuff, along with the F1 guys too, of course. And anytime car racing goes to a racetrack, it puts a lot of ripples in it, man, because you got these huge ass tires and 1,000 horsepower, yeah, ripping it up, right? But Texas is a beautiful place. I love going to Texas. Kota is such an amazing track. Turn 1 on TV does not do it no justice. It is literally, I mean, it's a steep, yes, very steep. Dude, the atmosphere is awesome. The food's awesome. The people are, it's magnificent. It really is. All the facilities are clean. Now our other racetracks here in America, you know, we do have some nice ones. But they're more like British Superbike, right? Where they're not so wide. Some of them are, but it's we need more venues as far as other places to go to, not just one here, right? Because if you look at MotoGP as a whole, man, they stay in Spain. They might as well just stay in Spain and quit everywhere else, Spain and Italy, right? Because that's the majority of the races. Yeah, that will also help the sport grow too, is having different venues and different racetracks, because not everybody can afford to go to Texas, right? Because, man, let's just be honest, it's expensive, right? It really is. Not as far as the tickets and actually being there, but if you don't live in, you know, Texas and you're traveling, you know, you got the airplane, if you got to fly or you drive, and you got the hotel and the gas and the food and all the merch you buy and, you know, all that good stuff that goes along with it. Yeah. But if you had more options for people to go to, I just think it would be better for the sport. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I agree with. I have to agree with you. One thing you mentioned here, and from a South African, just watching it on TV, Kota to me always it seems amazing. Everything seems so. It seems big, and this year, especially with the new MotoGP drone footage, where you can see the elevation of how high it actually goes up, and with the big Texas flag in the background, it just, to me, it's that typical what we see America as. It's just big, it's massive, it just stands out. So I think that's definitely, if I have to choose the top 3 of places I'd like to watch a MotoGP race, I think obviously, like you say, with the track, you get a little bit of a bumps. They're always trying to fix that. So I don't think it's the best place for the riders. Maybe it's not their favorite track, but I think as a spectator, it must be incredible going to Kota. I mean, like you say, other tracks, Laguna Seca, I know that's not up to MotoGP standard anymore, but surely there's enough tracks in America, and you guys can host 1 or 2 more, and it will help the sport grow.
Yeah, you're right. I've been to Laguna Seca, man, and man, what a beautiful track. But yeah, Kota's big. You're absolutely, compared to Laguna Seca, Kota's huge. It swallows Laguna Seca. It really does. It's and the cool thing about well, even Laguna, there's a lot of good spots you can watch the races from. But Kota, man, you can literally sit and turn 12 and see them come down that long straight, that hard left, and then go through that little back section, and then come all the way back out to almost turn 14. So and then they got the big tower you can get into. You pay $20 and you get in that big old tower and you see everything. Yeah, their burgers are bigger, their beers are bigger, right? Everything's bigger in Texas, right? Yeah.
Sounds like my type of place, I have to say.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. Hopefully one day you and your girl can get a trip and come out here, man, because I usually go every year to Coda. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I'm actually going the 20th of this month. I'm headed out to Louth in the UK for the BSB race at the end of the month, which I'm super excited about.
I can imagine. Yeah, no, we'll definitely. I'll speak to Shanae, and I think you guys having us on the podcast and us becoming good mates now, I think we'll have to arrange a Kota trip, and we'll meet you guys out there, and we'll do a combined podcast. We'll do something nice and have a few beers and wings and burgers and whatever we can get our hands on. I'm
That's
definitely
right.
game for that.
Yeah, we'll do it, man. We'll definitely plan it out. It'll be amazing, man. Like I said, I love doing this, man. Getting involved in podcasting and meeting all these people and building these relationships with it. And that's the whole reason why I'm going to Louth, because of my good mate Dave Neal. He has his own podcast called Off Track, which is amazing. You should go check it out. Everybody listening or watching needs to go check it out. He's on Spotify and Apple and all that good stuff. But I had him on the podcast. Real quick, funny story about how it all happened was I had been listening to Dave for a while, right? Actually, years. But even before podcast was a podcast thing, when podcast was on the radio, right? They didn't call them podcast. It was a motorcycle radio show, right? Anyway, I invited him to Pin the Gas Facebook group, and he comes on. He accepted. He's like, "Hey, my name's Dave Neal. At the time he was the press officer for OMG Rich Energy, Kyle Ride and Bradley Ray, right, in BSB." And I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" Yes, absolutely, And so I started talking to him, and I was like, "Dude, it would be an honor to have you on the podcast." And he was like, "Absolutely." And again, my mind was like, boom, yeah, let's do it, right? And since then we stayed in touch. He actually flew out to Texas this year, so I met him for the first time. And again, it wasn't no high fives, big old hugs and laughters. Man, we had such a great time. So yeah, all because of that, I told him that I would love to come out to a BSB race, but it has to be Caldwell Park. I mean, come on, man, the mountain course, it's got to be Caldwell. And so yeah, we set it up, and here I am. I went out and got my passport and all that good stuff. I even got some British pounds. My dad brought back to him back from London, because he's a pilot, so he flies out there. And yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait. I don't care if it rains every day. It don't matter to me. I just want to be there. I'm gonna have such a great time. I want to do a podcast from there. It's gonna be, hey, this is where my ADH kicks in, right? Because it's like I got to be in things I got to do and think of and pack. And man, I got all these emotions going on. It's
taking everything.
Right. But yeah, it's going to be, man, just mega, because that's one of my favorite words to say is mega. When I say that, it's like the best thing you can give, best compliment you can give to anybody. It's the best thing you can say about the experience you had. I mean, mega, that's the biggest thing, right? It's mega. I can't wait. Are you into British Superbike? Do you ever watch it?
So British Superbikes, in honesty, is one of the one segments or one we don't follow. The coverage over here for us is we absolutely get very little. It's now and again you can find something on Facebook. Our local people here called Supersport. They broadcast MotoGP and they broadcast our local racing and Motor America. British Superbikes, unfortunately, is not something we get too often, so it's difficult to follow and get into. But yeah, definitely something we'll learn as we go along, as we get deeper into the motorsport podcasting and journalist and whatever this fun journey is we on. We don't actually just enjoying every second. We're exactly like you guys. We're just enjoying every second of speaking to fellow motorcycle enthusiasts and people who just get passionate about it. So I'm sure it's something we'll learn a little bit more about BSB. We are obviously, with all the podcasts we listen to, it's primarily, the guys Simon Patterson and the Paddock Pass and all these other guys, all these podcasts, we can mention them all. You listen to them, we listen to them. So we hear a lot about BSB. But like I said, unfortunately, we don't get to see too much of it.
Well, fortunate for you, my friend, I have a link that I'm gonna send you personally when we get off here, where you can go and watch all the British Superbike races.
Oh, that's great news! Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll send you the link to it. You'll be able to watch them and keep up with them. British Superbike to me is, man, it's one of the best racing organizations out there in the world right now, and they have been. And the thing that I love about them is they, man, it's all to the riders, right? So they have very little electronics. They don't have 50 million traction control, anti-wheeling, all this shit right on the bikes. They have a little bit. Let's say they have anti-wheelie or traction control, but it's like setting 1, 2, and 3, and that's it, or maybe 1 and 2, right? And that's it. So they take all the electronics off the motorcycles and they use their own system, their own electronic, their own wiring harness, their own dash, the whole nine, and it creates the cream of the crop really rises, right? So this is where I see our future motorcycle racing making a mistake is, and I'll probably get scalded for this, but hey, everybody's got their own opinion. Is, man, we got too much electronics on. Man, there's too much going on. You got the ride height, all this shit, the wings. You got, dude. If you look at the cockpit of a modern GP bike, you're saying to yourself like, I would fucking get lost just trying to keep up with what buttons I'm supposed to hit during the race, right?
It's crazy,
dude. They need to find some way. Yes, MotoGP is the prototype class. It's supposed to be the fastest, most horsepower, all that. But there's got to be a way to get rid of some of this. And Casey Stoner said it, right? Get rid of the electronics, tone it down, have like 1 or 2 settings, and that's it, right? That's where the best riders will. Still, the cream will always rise to the top, but I think it's taken away from our talent of our youth, of the youth. What I mean by that, not here in America, because we don't have that sophistication unless you're in Moto America, and even then, it's nowhere near. But I feel like people in when they get there and they're learning to ride these super bikes with all these 50 billion electronics on it, right? They're learning to trust an electronic system on the motorcycle, right? So I kind of feel like it takes away from the natural talent in the feel, if that makes sense, right? Because now they're going off of the electronics all the time, right? Oh, it's got too much traction control here. It's da 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 da. No, your traction control is right here. This is where your traction control is, right?
That's traction control.
Right. This is traction control. So it's I see it in a negative way too, right? As far as that goes, but it's also a positive because we all know a MotoGP bike makes probably well over 300 horsepower, and the average MotoGP guy probably wouldn't be able to ride it very fast with all the electronics off, unless it was Casey Stoner or Bizzacci, people like that. Yeah. So
I think, Chris, if I might be wrong, but I've heard a lot of interviews. I think if you half of the grid, if you also MotoGP riders now will tell you there's too much electronics, there is too much anti-wheelie, there's too much ride-out devices, there's too much. It kind of, and like you say, yes, it's the prototype motorcycle, it's the best of the best, but it kind of takes away from natural talent as well. And it's something I think we would like to see as well. It's never going to happen, but just maybe taking a step back, taking off those ugly aero wings. We want to see the good-looking bikes again, except making it difficult to pass. It looks ridiculous. The bikes don't look as good as they used to, and like old Juan Mir says, less traction control, more rock and roll. That's what we want.
facts, right? Yeah, I've touched on the arrow back in the past. Dude, you're right. They need a, man. I understand the arrow, but Ducati was been the leading thing when it comes to aero and your ride height devices, and they're very, very clever. That's one thing Ducati does better than anybody. The cleverness of the company and what they come up with, right? So when everybody first starting the arrows start coming out, it creates a front downforce, right? So it's so now if I get wings on my front fairing on my motorcycle, that's creating a down pressure on the front tire, keeping my front tire on the ground, I can use less wheelie control. If I use less wheelie control, I can use more power. Therefore, I accelerate quicker and yada, 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 right? So there is pluses and cons to it when it comes to that. Has it made the racing a lot shittier since they've been here? Absolutely, it has. A lot of fans like it, but I'm with you, Dion. I hate them. That it looks they look something out of an alien movie, right? I mean, it's not. It's
looks like a
yeah,
Pokemon.
exactly a Pokemon, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's they should, but unfortunately, I don't never see them getting rid of the wings or the uh, anti devices anytime soon because it's got to be a national consensus of all the factories, but before they do something like that, right? And another thing too, man, is like I see where they fail too is testing, and I understand it costs a lot of money to them. But back when the 502 strokes in the early MotoGP eras, man, they were testing all the time. Now they get like 1 or 2 tests a year, and it hinders the younger kids coming up to MotoGP from Moto2, because you get one basically full test. You get one at the end of Valencia. You get to ride it the next day for a day or two, and then you get one test after that, and then it's full-fledged racing season, right? And you find all the rookies get booted out too early. They need to stay in there for at least a 2-year contract and not just a 1-year contract, because you got to give these kids time to adjust to these motorcycles. Because like we already touched on, Dion, you get on them things and be like, I don't even know where to begin, right? I know where the throttle, the clutch, and the brake is. Other than that, I don't know.
No, I agree with you 100%. The rookies, like you say, you think of a guy like Remy Gardner. I think he deserved more of a chance. I can't remember the guy that was with him, a rookie. His name slipped me now. Also losing seat. But the other thing is the struggling factories like Yamaha and Honda. If there was more testing days, these guys would have more time to figure it out, and it'll be more competitive. But unfortunately, I think, and I'm not exactly sure how the structure works, but with the motorcycle commission, obviously these guys get a vote on everything, and with Ducati having 8 teams on the paddock, 90% of the time, whatever they vote is the way it goes, and they're not going to be voting for Yamaha and Honda to get more concessions, to get more time. They struggled for how long without a championship between Casey and Pecco. I don't know how many years exactly, 13, 14, whatever, how many years it was. And no one cared to give them extra concessions or help them out. I think that's kind of the attitude coming from the Bologna guys right now. But yeah, you have to do something. We can't lose Honda and Yamaha, and testing is something that will definitely, I think, go a long way in helping those guys stay.
I agree, right? And it's such a the sport costs so much money to begin with, right? Even on a Moto America level here in America, it's retarded expensive. In MotoGP, I couldn't imagine, the cost, because they're renting at the racetrack. The team's got to rent the racetrack and have the facilities and the engineers and all the people that go along with it and all that. But you're right, they need more testing. Another thing too, man, is I see where Honda, especially, and Yamaha, because Yamaha followed right behind Honda. Is they put all their eggs in one basket, meaning Mark Marquez and Fabio, right? Where KTM and Ducati has a bike to where, obviously, look at them. There's a lot of fast people on the KTM. There's a lot of fast people on the Ducatis, whether it's Mooney, whether it's Grassini, whether it's Primac, right? Or the factory. It's an all around easy bike to ride. And back in the day when Stoner was on that, you could not say that at all about Ducati. Not at all, right? It just goes to show how well GG and before GG turned that company around to what it is today, right? And Aprilia, just look at Aprilia, right? They didn't do very good. And man, back in 2003, that RS Cube was one of the most beautiful MotoGP machines I've ever seen. It looks so good, but unfortunately, it was a piece of shit. Right? I mean, it is what it is. And almost
Call it what it is.
barbecued. Yeah, almost barbecued Colin Edwards. Yeah, it's even Shaky Burn, man, when he got on it, he's like, dude, this thing's gonna kill me. But man, it's such a beauty. And look how they turned around, right? And Aprilia is honestly, beside Ducati, probably the best all-around bike on the grid. It does everything well, brakes well, it handles great, it gets in the corner, it comes out of the corner, it's got plenty of horsepower, it don't lose down the straight, right? You don't see nobody passing the Aprilias, right?
No.
But
No,
I think
agree.
that's where they made the mistake is yes, Marquez was a super alien. He's the one that leveled up from Rossi, right? Because somebody had to level it up, right? So he did. He did things that nobody's ever seen on a motorcycle still to this day, the crashes and all that, shit he's done. But as far as the manufacturer just solely developing the bike around him, yeah, he's been winning all your championships. It is a complete, utter mistake, in my opinion, because now look where they are because of that, right? And Mark Marquez just come back from that injury, Dion, last year, and he's been out when he broke his arm. Honda let him on there, right? That was a team effort. I would have not let Marquez get back on that bike after he broke his arm a couple days or whatever it was, right? No, there's no way, absolutely not. And from that point on, they were completely lost because they have Taco. Sorry, that's my dog.
No problem.
But yeah,
I have to agree with you, Chris. If you look at it, and I think I want to say again, just an opinion. 90% of it's a mindset problem. I don't know if the Japanese are perhaps a little bit stubborn in their ways of thinking. I know at the time when Marquez went over, he took a bunch of his own engineers, and a bunch of people lost their jobs because he wanted specifically his own engineers, and things were developed around Mark. Where the European factories seem to, and like you said, Gigi and those guys, the mindset was a little bit different. Let's create a good motorcycle rider, so we can basically, I don't want to say put anybody on it, but if you have a decent rider or a bunch of them, you've got a good chance of winning a championship. And they've created a all-round friendly bike, and that's the model I think that seems to be working MotoGP right now. And Aprilia is definitely second, and KTM I think is following in that suit, because you look at the gas of Augusto, he finished fifth in the sprint yesterday. So I think the general consensus right now is let's create a very good bike and then put a good rider, and the combination will be good, instead of having a good rider that just suits that one bike like Honda did with Mark. And I'm hoping, I don't know the ins and outs too much, but from what it sounds like, it's a cultural thing for the Japanese, a very, I want to call it, stubborn mindset, where they set in their ways of doing stuff a certain way. And I think they'll have to really get someone like the cat did with Gigi, or someone that's going to come in and help them and take charge of this bull and say, guys, this is the direction we're in. I'm in charge, and this is how we're going to do it. And the factory will need to, the Japanese guys will need to release that control that they want, and let a person make let a person guide them into a direction and develop a bike that's good for, I don't want to say anybody, but any talented rider to get on and be competitive on.
Yeah, I mean, and absolutely, you're right. And we've seen that the history of Hondas, they've been doing this for. That's one of the main reasons why Valentino left Honda in 03 and went to Yamaha. He's like, dude, I asked for this and this and this, and that Honda would bring a bike back and be like, okay, this is what we did, and he's like, well, I didn't ask for any of this. This is what I need, and this is what I want, and they don't listen, right? They basically do what they want, like Ducati did in the early stages of their MotoGP machine, because Stoner was winning on it. Stoner's asking for all these changes, right? So Ducati's just as guilty as it in the past, where they're like, hell, we ain't going to change it, because if Stoner can win on it, anybody can win on it, right?
Anybody.
Why fix it if it ain't broke? But really, the machine is broke. It was the talent of Stoner that outshone that motorcycle. Plus, Honda's mentality is, you didn't win, Dion, on the motorcycle. The motorcycle won the race, not Dion won the race, right? No, that's not it. That is their mentality, though. Which is that's where they default themselves, I should say, right? They need to change that motto, but we all know Japanese are difficult people to deal with sometimes.
That's true. And thinking back to Casey, I might be wrong here, but I think Casey and Ducati is very similar story to Honda and Mark. It was the odd chance that a specific bike they were developing in a specific direction suited the riding style of the champion. Where Casey, the speedway style with the back coming out, it really depended. We all know the front end problems that Ducati had for a long time, where even Rossi went over to Emma and said they can't get the front end feel like. And I think Casey was maybe less reliant on that. And their minds were, well, if Casey can do it, why can't anybody else do it? Why can't anybody else win a championship on it? But Casey's riding style was suited to maybe not needing that much front feel. And I'm talking now that's exactly what happened. But this is just my point of view, what I think. And I think the same things happened with Honda Mark. Mark's done so well on that Honda They didn't develop it in any other direction. They thought, oh, the Honda is the best ride on the grid, the bike on the grid. But actually, Mark's talent combined with that Honda, I think it suited each other, and it's outgrown that now. I think.
Yeah, you're right. It has. Like I said, that they lost their way when Mark really got hurt and he was off the bike, and they had to rely on, the other people riding the bike. But again, and this is also my problem with MotoGP and MotoGP testers, right? Like, how are you going to have a MotoGP tester that's a second and a half off the pace? What are you testing? Well, I don't understand what you're testing, because that second and a half, hell, that 0.3 of a second, the motorcycle might cause a different feeling that you're not going to feel because you're not fast enough. You don't push it hard enough. Right. So that way of testing, I understand it. But again, what are you doing, Dion? What are we testing? We're a second and a half off the pace. I mean, yeah, the clutch feels better. What do you do? Right. I mean,
What did you do?
Right.
That is very important, I think. If you look at KTM, and I think a big part of their success as well is Pedrosa, because he was a wild card ride, and I think he finished sixth in a sprint race or something in Spain. That means he's still competitive. The guy's still out there, and he doesn't run a second off the pace. So I can't remember whether it was Yamaha or Honda that there was in negotiations with Lorenzo at that stage to help them and help for him to become a test rider, so he can kill it. And the biggest mistake there was not taking him, because now he was still an actively fast rider. He could have helped develop that bike. And I think what you're saying is so true. It doesn't help you have someone on the bike that's a second and a half slower. There's a few of them, I think, that still has the pace. Someone like Cal Crutchlow, I think, is still very fast. He's still good enough to be a test rider. Pedrosa's making a massive difference at KTM. But further than that, do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't help you have a test rider that's a second and a half off the pace. I agree with you completely.
Yeah, it don't, and Cal's coming back. Motegi, is it Motegi he's coming back? Yeah. So we get to see the great Mr. Crutchlow back on a bike, which I always been a fan of Crutchlow, man. He was awesome, man. They don't make them like that anymore, right? Like him and Colin Edwards. I remember, was it Silverstone. When Colin Edwards was 2011, I think, he was on the Tech 3 Yamaha. And Edwards was up there on stage and was talking trash about Jorge Lorenzo, man. He was like, I think Jorge's gay, because you don't never see him with a girl ever at all. Like, we need that in our sport again, right? Now it'd be politically incorrect to say, but it's on YouTube. You should check it out. Yeah.
Well, we need a little bit more politically incorrectness. Honestly, that's why I love Jack Miller, because he always seems like, yes, he haven't said something that crazy yet, but he always seems like a guy that's on the edge of saying, you know what, guys, just stop fucking moaning. Just grow up and grow a pair. And I honestly feel, and again, I want to get too much into politics, but maybe it's my age, maybe it's because I'm a man. I don't know. Who knows? But I crave that unfiltered a little bit. The guys just saying what they feel, saying, fuck, this is a shit bike. I have a little smile when Mark Marquez is flipping off his camera there on his Honda. And this afternoon in the post-race match, I actually took a video of it. They showed the podium guys was watching the recap of the race, and they showed where Quartararo lost his front end, and Brad stood there and he said, oh, fuck. And I thought to myself, oh, he's going to get into trouble for that on TV. Yeah. But it's fun. It's unfiltered. It's real emotions. We need the real emotions.
We do, and that's listen, when people hear riders talk like that and they see the raw emotions, they connect to them in a more human way, right?
Agreed.
Where you feel like you can actually have a conversation if you met them in real life. You wouldn't be so scared to approach them, right? Because they're actually humans and they're real, and they cuss and they get pissed off. What I don't like to see a whole lot, though, man, in our sport is like when riders get mad. And I understand, the attention transfer when they go in the garage and they're throwing helmets and boots and gloves, and you got to be in your situation, man. You got to be more professional. It's just like if you have a bad day and a fan comes up to you and you tell them no because whatever it is you're going through. Guess what? You probably lost that fan and probably many more, right? You got to be professional at all times, no matter what you're going through. I have never seen Brad Bender come in there and be like, oh, God damn it, throw his helmet and gloves and boots and throwing his, fit. We seen it from Jake Dixon today, right? He made a mistake. Unfortunately, he crashed out. And first thing he does when he goes in the garage is cusses and throws gloves and right there on TV, right? So you got little kids watching it and they're probably thinking, hey, maybe that might be okay if I'm pissed off. I can go in there and chuck my helmet, and it's not okay, right? It's just my opinion, Dion. That's all.
No, I agree. I think it's a balance between being humble and respecting the people around you. I think if you start to think you're too big of a superstar and you get that image about yourself, that's when these problems creep in. And staying humble is one of the things, but still saying what you feel, type of thing. It's a delicate balance. It's easy for us to sit here because I can say fuck 300 times now, I guess, and no one's gonna cancel me and not speak to me again. But you're right, and I think some of these guys need to try and remember that one personal fan, that's maybe not important, but if there wasn't fans of this sport, there'd be no sport, there'd be no money. The fans essentially pay salary, so you need to try and keep that. And again, it's easy for me to say I'm not world famous. I don't have 600 people running to me every day asking for autograph, and I think it's human nature to get irritated. But yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I see that side of it where that would get annoying sometimes, right? Constantly being asked for a picture, constantly being this. But listen, you should be privileged. You don't, when you turn a fan down, you don't think that fan probably saved maybe for a year or more just to get there. And that's all he wanted to do. He didn't care about watching the race. The only thing he cared about was meeting you and getting a picture and an autograph. And you just made his life. Like he that was it. If he died 10 seconds later, it's okay because I met, my idol or whatever. So it's very important, and that's one thing that I love about Matthew Skoltz is, man, he gives anybody the time of day. A lot of the guys do, right? I'm just using him as a prime example. He'll give you any time of day. Of course, if he's actually got somewhere to be because he's got to get on the bike in a few minutes or get dressed or whatever, that's different. But if Junior Cup's out there or 600's out there and he's just standing there or riding his scooter and you holler his name, he'll stop, turn around, come back, smile, have a conversation, give you a picture, autograph, whatever you want, and then remember you the next day when you go and see him, right? That means everything to me as a fan in the sport, right? Because it shows that he cares, not just being a motorcycle racer, but he also cares about his fans and he cares, about humans being at the motorcycle race and being involved in what it takes to build that fan base, right? Because now you just got a fan forever, for life, no matter what you do, right? It's the same thing with little kids. He's the same way. So it's like I said, when I made Jorge Martin, I'm sure he's pretty cool, but yeah, he didn't give nobody the time of day in Texas for autographs. Alicia Spargo didn't give nobody, every time I seen him, didn't give nobody the time of day. Most everybody else did, but there's a few of them that was just like, nope, not doing it. And it's like, okay, thanks, I appreciate it.
That is unfortunate. Yeah, because if you can ask me personally, and I can tell you now, 90% of MotoGP fans out there, you tell him if he's a Jack Miller fan, you can spend a half an hour chatting to Jack Miller or watching the entire race live. What you're going to do is going to choose to spend a half an hour because essentially at the end of the day, we all crave human interaction, and that it's so important. Like you say, someone like Matthew Scholes giving you 2 minutes of his time, that's a story that you will remember forever as a child. That's something that inspires, not to get too soppy here, but that's something that inspires the next generation. Someone like a little Peter running around at Kyalami here locally, and he gets to meet Brad Binder for 10 minutes, and Brad gives him the time, which I'm sure he would. That child remembers that, and he idolizes Brad. He watches all these videos, and and that's the next generation. He wants to ride my motorcycles instead of play rugby. That's how you get the next generation. By being a complete, let me say, an arsehole, it doesn't help. It doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit the sport. It doesn't benefit anybody.
It don't, man. Actually, it hurts the sports in ways than they realize, right? Because who wants to go there and deal with that, right? Nobody wants to, especially parents taking their kids. Imagine if you took your boy there and he wanted to meet whoever, right? And they just flat out said no. You'd be like, forget him,
No,
right?
100%.
Yeah. Matter of fact, the t-shirt that I have on supporting them, it's going in the trash bin right now, and I'm going straight up there and buy me another t-shirt. I mean, that's just what it is. So yeah, unfortunately, that's part of the sport. But yeah, man, listen, Dion, dude, this has been an amazing conversation. We've been going at this almost 2 hours. It
It's
don't
been
even
really
seem
good.
like it, right? Yeah, it's
It
been really
doesn't. It
good.
doesn't.
So listen, I'm gonna end this video here, this podcast here in a few minutes. Everybody that watches actually in comments are entered into this drawing to win some free stickers, Dion. So give me 1 second. Let me pull this up and let me make a drawing real quick. I need to figure out how I can make this live to do this. So all right. And the winner is Carlo Baldi. I hope I didn't murder your last name. So listen, Carlo, if you reach out to me on Facebook Messenger, shoot me your address. Congratulations, you won 2 free Pin to Gas stickers. And I told everybody this, Dion. I have the very first. I'm gonna send you a shirt too. So when we get off here, I need your address and all that good size. But I have the very first prototype Pin to Gas shirt with a new logo on it that I'm actually going to take to Moto America this year and have all the riders sign it, and I'm gonna give that away at the end of the year.
Cool.
Yeah, on the last podcast, man. So one lucky person's going to win that with all the Moto America guys in the t-shirt, which is going to be awesome. But yeah, listen, let's do this again. Dion, why don't you tell everybody how they can find you, where they can listen to your podcast at, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So guys, you can find us on Facebook. We've recently changed our Facebook name. So our podcast name is You, Me and Motogp. So available on all the platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, all the platforms. You can search for You, Me and Motogp. And if you look for us on social media, it's Shot Brew Media. So that's our media platform name. It's a little bit shorter than You, Me and Motogp. So we recently changed that. So on social media, we Shot Brew. That's a little bit of South African slang, which basically just means all good. So Shot Brew Media, and then You, Me and MotoGP podcast. And then Chris from our side, myself and Shanae, unfortunately couldn't be here. Thank you very, very much. We look forward to having you guys on our side and chatting a little bit as well. It's been a privilege, and we really enjoy what you guys do. And thank you for being, we ended with this chat, but thank you for being like cool guys and easy to chat with and inviting us on. I think it's great for podcasting and for the sport, for all of us to grow. So thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it, and we enjoy your guys' content a lot.
Yeah, Dion, listen, I've told you this, man, dude. It's an honor of ours, dude. It really is. And yes, dude, I listen to your podcast too as well. I'm a huge supporter, man. It's what it's about. You know, it's why we're doing what we're doing, build the friendships and support each other and help each other grow. Because I, like you, want to be just as successful as this is you want to, right? I want this to be a full-time job where we get paid and we could be like, hey man, are you going to this race this weekend? Yeah, next week. Let me check my flights. I'll meet you in that country. Yeah, we'll do that. Blah, blah, blah. Right. One day that's where we want to be at too. But listen, dude, Dion, what an honor it is again, man, to have you on. I love doing collaborations with the same people, have the same love and passion for our sport. It's simply amazing. It really is. And we'll definitely do this again. I'd like to do, we'll get together and do a year-end review on MotoGP, and we'll talk about, you know, all the class winners from Moto2, Moto3, and the GP. So we should get together and do that. And I'm looking forward to meeting your other half for sure. Sorry we missed her today, but hello, right? But yeah, listen, everybody, I appreciate everybody that watches and posts and comments and all the love and support I always get from everybody. Man, it means so much to us. Me and Jules from Pin to Gas and Dion too, man. Thank you so much. And again, dude, what an honor it is, man. I keep saying it, man, because I really mean it. I really do. And again, everybody, thank you guys so much. Everybody that watched, and congratulations, Carlo. Don't forget to send me a message so I can get your stickers out there. Listen, if you guys comment and you live in another country, it's no worries. Just give me your address and I'll stick some stickers in the mail and you'll receive them, I guess, in a couple weeks. I'm not really too sure how long it takes, but I promise you I'll send them. But listen, everybody, Thank you so much, Dion. I'm gonna end this. Just stay on for another second. We'll chat for a minute.
Will do.
I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in on this live Pin the Gas podcast episode again. Until next time, see you guys later. I appreciate it.
Cheers, everyone.